Hello everybody, this is Dino GTO, and this is the other ace tanker I feel like is worth showing on the channel that I mentioned in the Tanker P review, which I ended up deciding not to actually use for the review because I felt like the Live game was more representative of the tank. So, as you can see, we're on Pilsen, and you see me loading high explosive to blow away those doors, and I got really unlucky there. My fucking shot went through one of the holes in the door. At least I think it did. I wasn't really paying attention. I kind of looked away for a second. So yeah, if you didn't know this, if you load a high explosive round and you fire at those doors on this map, it'll take out the door in one shot. That's extremely useful to know because it can help a lot. And I like to blow them away at the start of every game because if I'm in any tank that's not an autoloader, I will typically blow it away. And yeah, brand new tier 7 tank destroyer. It has absolutely no armor. There's pretty much nothing you can do on this map, actually, thinking about it. It's like, where do you go on a map like this with a tank that has absolutely no armor? And yep, there's the Challenger. That thing's main feature is rate of fire, and otherwise it's kind of a piece of shit. If I'm totally honest. Horrific. I should have really noticed there that he was going to poke out again. I think he was, at least. What's that? M46KR over there. Why is he sitting so far in the background? That's a bit weird. He must be AFK or something. Nope, he's not. He's moving. Not really sure why he's sitting so far in the background. It's a bit weird to me. Alright, so. Being very, very passive to start the game off because I don't feel like it's worth rushing in and I got caught on the side of that like little building thing. But yeah, I didn't feel like it was worth rushing in at the very start because I just would have died and you have to wait for the enemy tanks to disperse a reasonable amount before you do shit like that. Like, I've just noticed their UDES 03 is actually over with the heavy tanks fight. Well, yeah, I guess it can make sense. He has 280 pen, so I guess that makes sense, honestly. I think it's 288. It's the highest pen taken over from the ISU. So, yeah. I guess you can get away with it to an extent. Things like the Borsig are far better at it, in my opinion. Just killing the artillery, because it's always nice to kill the artillery. Let's see, this Challenger... Here's the thing you have to know about Challenger. It's a terrible tank. It really is an awful tank. But here's the thing about it. Only people who are extremely dedicated will actually play through that fucking line. So they will all know where to shoot enemy tanks and stuff. And yeah, that was an interesting move from our artillery. But yeah, that's the great thing about having a good slab of hit points. You can take a bunch of hits and not really worry about it too much. Now, you can kind of see why I didn't use this as the replay for the game, because it doesn't really show off much. It just shows off situational awareness, really. Like, it's just me exploiting a weakness I spotted in the enemy lines, and then pushing forward and taking damage from where I could, versus tier 8s. So, any tank can really do this. You didn't have to win the Tiger P, you could have been, well, I was going to say you could have been a Black Prince and done this, but nah, you probably couldn't have done the Black Prince. The Black Prince, you probably would have gone to where Luve and all are, and you probably would have died because Black Prince, in my experience at least, has pretty terrible armor. And it's slow as fuck, so you really need to get somewhere where you can put shots in early. Because later in the game you just get left behind and you can't really do anything about it. Which kind of sucks, honestly. And the last tank in the game is a KV4, and he's over where the heavies are. And yeah, I didn't go down there at the start of the game because I felt like going down there versus IS3, KV4, we all know how unbelievably troll the IS3s are. And KV4, I just didn't fancy shooting at a KV4 this game because I've been dealing with a lot of them recently, weirdly. Because for a long time, that tank was just kind of like you saw once, you would see one of them every like couple weeks. But now I've actually been seeing a reasonable amount of them, so maybe that tank's coming back into some kind of prominence. Well, I guess it did get buffed a couple months back. It did get name 10 buff and a HP buff, so it has 1700 health now with top turret. and it has better aiming time than it used to have with the 107mm top gun it gets. Um, that 107mm, it's a good gun. On paper back when I played, at least it was actually better in some aspects than the Tiger 2 gun. I think it actually had. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. The KV4 was the first tier rate heavy I ever owned. That sounds like that makes me feel old. Um, that was the first tier rate heavy I owned, and that was the line I went through when I was on 12 FPS laptop. Um, it was only when I got the ST1 and I got the top third on the ST1 that I finally got my computer and I had 60 FPS from that point on. So yeah, it's weird to think that the KV4, I never actually played it on anything that had a decent FPS. So that's an interesting thought. Maybe that's why I didn't like that tank. Although I still have to say that I would wait until the HD model comes out now. It's part of the reason why I haven't bought the VK3002D back, because I love that machine when I grinded it, and I completely expect that I would still like it if I went back and got it now. But I don't want to buy a tank that isn't in HD, because I know for a fact that if it gets changed to HD, they would probably change the turret, and the turret is probably one of the strongest parts of that tank. Because if you don't know, the small term turrets for the Germans, the SD versions, were all very, very tough. They were a lot tougher than the HD versions, and I suspect, actually thinking about it, I think they may actually change like the mantlet and all. Like I've seen like guesses of what the E50M would look like in HD, and it actually has a turret that looks more like the Panther 2 turret, the Panther 2 upgraded turret, than the turret it currently has. Because back in the day, I think in this game they just kind of used the same small term turret model for the German tree, except they put like a little extension onto the back for the E50 and the E50M. That's about it, really. So yeah, interesting thought. Like you can see that the Panther, that is basically the same small term that the E50 has at tier 9, like as stock turret, and then it gets like a wee extension onto the back like here. It just comes out a bit further, and it is actually an armor box. This actually isn't an armor box on the Tiger P as an example, but on the E50 it has like a little extension onto the back of the turret, and that's how you distinguish between the stock E50 and the upgraded E50. So yeah, if you didn't know that, there's a bit of information for you. Also you can tell by the health pool. That's why I use the numbers instead of the percentages, because percentages don't tell you if a tank is upgraded or not. Like, I think there's maybe one or two tanks in the game that don't get a health buff with a top turret. In fact, no, actually, are there even any tanks that don't get a health buff with a top turret? I think in almost every case there's a buff that to the HP of the tank if you mount the top turret. Yeah, even on the M4A3E2, yeah, I'm pretty confident that every tank in the game, when you mount the top turret, will actually get a HP buff. So that is why you use the numbers that tell you their max health and the health they're currently on, because that will actually give you an idea of whether or not they're fully upgraded or not. Although that doesn't really apply to tank destroyers, because tank destroyers, they don't have turret upgrades and stuff like that. But the normal tanks like this one here would only have 1,350 health, and I don't think this thing can mount the 88 with its stock turret, the top 88 at least. I'm pretty sure that's true. That's especially true with the Tiger 1. If the Tiger 1 only has 1,400 health, then you know it can't be mounting the top 88. So it gives you a wee bit more information without actually like changing anything, if you know what I mean. I'm not really sure how else to word it. So yeah, a wee bit of a tip there for you if you didn't know that, and that's why I use the HP readouts, so I have them. But yeah, I've rambled on for long enough. On to the stats. So here are the results. Nothing really to say about this here. 1300 base XP, ace tanker, 5 kills, 2800 damage. That about sums it up, and I made a decent amount of credits as well. That basically sums the entire thing up already. And it was only a 4 minute game anyway, and I talked for like the 5 minutes after the game ended, so yeah. But I just want to ask you guys who are watching this here a question. Can you can you guys recommend some like racing games or something? I'm probably going to ask this in a couple of different videos, so I'll probably ask it at the start of the next video because it didn't occur to me until after I'd finished doing the voiceover for this one. Um, I kind of want a racing game to play because I haven't played a driving game in about a year now, and I kind of want to get back into it because I haven't really like. I just love the old school arcadey racers like Burnout, like Need for Speed, like Midnight Club. All those games were brilliant fun to play, and it's why I was so fucking sad when I heard the Midnight Club franchise was effectively dead. And it's honestly why I was just so excited for the crew, but then the crew turned out to be a wee bit of a disappointment for me personally because unfortunately their game it doesn't have much to do in it after you've done the story. You can max all your cars to 12.99, but after that you've really kind of sitting there going, what else do we do now? So yeah, that game kind of died for me after I completed the story of it and maxed out all the cars, or well, maxed out all like got everything to 12.99, and it was also really frustrating because the amount of times I got a 12 like a level 50 part, and then I got like the most useless like you know with the when you get like a platinum level 50 part, it'll like do the wee thing where it like pick like a booster, a specific booster it'll give you. The amount of times I got like 8 out of the 11 types of parts you can get on a car in that game, the amount of times I ended up with like 9 braking perks on like the cars was insane. Like the braking perk is probably the most useless one in the game because nobody brakes. Everybody just bounces off the walls and nobody really gives a fuck. So that was like the most useless one. You really want acceleration or top speed. Typically like a mix of the two, or maybe handling. I think that's another one. But yeah, braking totally useless. No point in it. Um, so yeah, that was like a incredibly irritating game, and it really just kind of like there was nothing to do after I beat it, as I said already. But yeah, classic racing games aren't really a thing on PC. I found out recently when I was searching through trying to find some racing games that I want to play, but unfortunately there doesn't seem to be any. So yeah, um, I really want to do like the gameplay or graphics discussion in this here, but don't feel like it's appropriate right now. You may be wondering what I mean by that there. I mean, like, I've tried to record this end like 4 times, and I keep ended up making the like recording last like 11 minutes, so I've decided that I'm not going to talk about anything else other than what I've just said, so yeah. Just so I can make this below 5 minutes long because the last couple of times I just kept talking and talking and talking and talking, and then when I looked back at the timer, it was like 11 or 12 minutes of me just talking shit. So yeah. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. If you don't, hit the dislike button. So yeah. See you in the next one.